I'm telling you guys, June 1st and June 15th is like all the things. Over Thanksgiving. Why can't I talk about this book? I'm so excited for these books and I cannot put words together for them. Okay. Or in this book, Riley. Why am I calling her Riley? Her name is Charlie. He's Riley. Crap. What happened then? Mystery in the past, mystery in the present. Bing, 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 bing. All my buzzwords. And I have not read The Great Gatsby in a bajillion years. I don't know why I keep saying bajillion in this video. Okay, I'm gonna read this because I want to get this one right. So, not that I want to not get any, or not that I want to get any of the books wrong. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. Today we're going to talk about just a handful of books that are coming out in June that I, for one, am super psyched about. So I've pre-ordered a few of them. I kind of maybe might pre-order more. We're going to see how we do. I'm pretending that I have some element of self-control right now, but we'll see where that goes. So let's just get into it. So first up, I want to talk about the books that I did pre-order, and the first one comes out June 1st, and it's Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And if you guys have watched me for a hot minute, these first couple of books are not going to be a surprise, but I am so excited for this book. I remember listening to a podcast when she was talking about, when she was promoting Daisy Jones and talking about the book that she was working on, which is this book, and I'm super excited to read it. And this one is set in the 80s. And then also, I believe, some flashbacks to the 60s. So again, this is one of those books, I don't even need to know what it's about. I am 100% in for it. But it follows a family, and it's 4 brothers and sisters, and this is like the 1983 timeline, and they are having some kind of raging party at their house in Malibu, and I'm pretty sure the house burns down. So we flash back to their parents, and I think leading up to this night, and I honestly am just so excited for it. And I've heard there's a connection to Evelyn Hugo with the kids' parents, but I've also heard there's a connection to Daisy Jones. So I'm not sure which it is, but I think it's a character who maybe appeared in like a blink and you'll miss it kind of a situation in one of her books. So she loves to kind of cross over with a few different things, and I'm here for it, obviously. So this is, I don't know if it's gonna, I hope it shows up on my doorstep on June 1st. I don't know if it's gonna ship on June 1st. So we'll see what happens, but super excited for this. She is just, I've read all of her books. She's just amazing. She blows me away with her writing, with her storytelling, with her characters. Her books make me cry, her books make me laugh. I dog-ear them to death. And I am so hungry for another Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this is coming at a perfect time. So my most anticipated book of June is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I cannot wait for this book to show up in the mail. And this book is 1991, and it says, George Bush is president, Nirvana's in the tape deck, and movie-obsessed college student Charlie Jordan is in a car with a man who might be a serial killer. So Charlie is going home for Thanksgiving. She went to the rideshare board. She found someone who's also driving to Ohio, and they are going to split the gas, split the driving time, and head back to Ohio together. And Charlie needs to get away because her roommate was a victim of a serial killer on campus. And Charlie is grieving, she's feeling guilty, she just has to get out of there. And then Josh, who is driving the car, needs to get home to get to his sick father. Or so he says. So not long into the car trip, it sounds like Josh's story just doesn't quite compute, and Charlie is starting to think that she's in the car with the guy who killed her roommate. And it becomes a dark and messed up cat and mouse game, and I am here for it. So you guys know I love Riley Sager. You guys know I am obsessed with him, with his books, and I ordered this book already from Murder by the Book. And if you guys are cuckoo obsessed like I am, not sponsored, nothing in it for me, just sharing the love. If you order by June 15th, you can get a personalized copy of the book from Riley Sager. And if you order after the 15th, you can get an autographed one. And then you get access to his launch, digital online launch party that night, where he's interviewed by Abby from Crime by the Book. And then obviously you get the book with his signature in it. So I did it. I'm here for it. I did it last year for Home Before Dark, and I'm just totally obsessed. And you get to support an indie bookstore to boot. So all the great things are going on here. But I will read anything that Riley Sager writes. I will also read things that he reads, because I will take his recommendations. But I was watching an interview he did with Lisa Unger recently also, and she was saying how like all the 90s pop culture references are like so on point and so perfect. And he was saying like one of the best things about this book, because he was, I think he maybe graduated high school in 91 or was like starting college. Well, I guess you could graduate high school and start college, do both in 91. But he was saying like I had to do no research because it literally was my life. And when one of his editors was fact checking the book, they were like, are you sure Thelma and Louise was out yet? And he was like, yeah, I'm sure. And they're like, no, but like really, are you sure Thelma and Louise? And he was like, yeah, I'm sure. So I am 100% here for it. Give me the 90s, give me this story, give me Riley Sager. Done, done, and done. And then the next book I pre-ordered is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. And I actually pre-ordered this from Murder by the Book also. So this comes out June 15th, but it's not going to ship until my Riley Sager book ships, which is fine. It's fine. Got other stuff I can read. But he wrote The Silent Patient, which I loved. I was here for it. I was not one of those people who was like, oh, I figured out the twist. I could see what was happening here. I was in for it. I was totally down for the ride. I loved it. And this book sounds just also completely like up my alley. Okay, so in this book, we have a psychotherapist named Mariana, and she winds up returning to Cambridge because her niece's friend has been murdered. And Mariana's got her own baggage and grief that she's dealing with, and she kind of gets quickly sucked into trying to figure out what happened to her niece's friend and who murdered her. And she very quickly zeroes in on this Greek tragedies professor named Edward, who she thinks is the prime suspect and 100% a murderer. And he is beloved by faculties, beloved by students, particularly by this secret society called the Maidens. And Zoe's friend was one of the Maidens, and then 2 more girls in that secret society wind up dead. And Mariana's convinced that Edward is the one who did it, but nobody else really believes her. So it sounds fabulous. I love secret society. Give me some dark academia. Give me some dark and messed up people doing dark and messed up things. A little bit of unreliable narrator vibes kind of going on here. I'm here for all of it. And full disclosure, I've heard a little bit of mixed bag on this one, but I don't care. I'm going to read it anyway. I'm not gonna let it dissuade me because, you know, it's totally good. I'm here for it. I'm here for him. And I'm very, 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 very excited to get this book. The next book is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, and this comes out on June 1st. And Casey McQuiston wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue, which was one of my most favorite books from last year. And never in a bazillion years would I have guessed that I would have fallen in love with that book, because I don't read a lot of romance, and that book just like grabbed me and never let go, and I cried and I laughed, and it was smart and funny and snarky and romantic and like heartbreaking and heartwarming and all the things. And from everything I'm hearing from people who have an arc, One Last Stop, this is even better than that book was. So can't even imagine, but here we go. So this is about 23-year-old August, and she is cynical, and she's moving to New York City, and New York City is not an easy place to live. It's not an easy place to be. And she's kind of given up some hope. And then she is commuting on the subway one morning, and she sees Jane, and she instantly is in love. And Jane is cool, and she's got her leather jacket, and she's a little punk rockery, and just everything about her. August is mesmerized by her. And the hitch is that she finds out that Jane is not just like super cool, looks 70s punk rocker-ish, like she is actually from the 70s and has been displaced into today. So there's fantastical elements to this, and I don't even need to know more than that. It's a romance. There's some sort of time period split, something or another. And I'll let you know after I read it, but 100%. Most anticipated on my list. One of my most anticipated. The whole list is most anticipated books. Okay, we're gonna keep things kind of 70s-ish. And the next book is The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. And this is The Unplanned, book number 4 in the Truly Devious series. So again, if you guys watch me, you know I love the Truly Devious series. That was conceived as a trilogy. There is one mystery that transcends all 3 books, and then there's mysteries that start and stop in each book. And I was totally surprised by how much I fell in love with that book series also. I loved Stevie. I just thought she was, again, just smart and interesting and complicated, and I enjoyed the mysteries. Mysteries in the past, mysteries in the present, all the things. And because that series was such a raging success, Maureen Johnson has written another book. So in this one, it is the first book that doesn't take place at Ellingham Academy, which is where the series took place. And it's sort of the summer after junior or senior year in high school. And Stevie gets invited to this camp. And it's Camp Wonder Falls, which was the site of a notorious unsolved case, the Box in the Woods murders, which took place in 1978. So 4 camp counselors were killed outside of town, and their bodies were left in a gruesome display. Here for it. And no one ever figured out what happened. So because Stevie has made quite the name for herself for solving unsolved mysteries, she gets invited to figure out kind of what happened, and shocker, shocker, something evil is still lurking there. So I'm excited to go back and revisit Stevie, and I'm not sure which of her friends are in this book. I don't want to tell you too much about what happens in the other books, but I'm totally here for it. So this is supposed to be a standalone mystery. Obviously, if you read the first 3, Stevie and other people involved in it will make more sense to you, but it sounds like you don't have to read them if you don't want to. I'm so excited. So this is YA, mystery, contemporary, all the things, and I will be reading it. Another June 15th book is Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams. And when I tell you guys I came this close to pre-ordering it, I mean I came this close to pre-ordering it, and there's still time. So we'll see. Never say never, but I read No Exit this year, and oh my God, you guys. Oh my God, that book was so dark and messed up. I was not prepared for it, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess this is probably gonna be very similar in feel. So in this one, we have a woman named Lena Nguyen, and her estranged sister 3 months ago drove to a remote bridge 60 miles outside of Missoula, Montana, and jumped 200 feet to her death. Or at least that's the official police version of the story. But Lena isn't buying it. So now she literally drives to that very bridge in her dead twin's car, has a cassette recorder, and is determined to find out what really happened by interviewing the highway patrolman who allegedly discovered her sister's body. So the state trooper, Risevic, I hope I'm not saying his name wrong, agrees to meet Lena to talk about what happened that night. And there's a few things that just don't quite add up. So for one, he stopped her twin for speeding a full hour before she supposedly leapt to her death. And then there's 16 attempted 911 calls from her cell phone made in what's unfortunately supposed to be a dead zone. And then the worst of all is her twin sent her this final text message that says, "Please forgive me, I couldn't live with it. Hopefully you can, Officer Risevic." So I'm sorry, what? What's going on here? So it says, she will do anything to uncover the truth, but as her twin's final hours come into focus, Lena's search turns into a harrowing tooth and nail fight for her own survival. Yes. Sign me up, sign me up, sign me up. Another June 1st book is The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dalila Harris. And this is pitched as Get Out meets The Stepford Wives. It takes place in the publishing industry, and it's sort of, from what I read, there's some horror fantastical elements to it, and it sounds amazing. So Zakiya herself actually worked for Knopf Doubleday for 3 years as an editorial assistant, and I was watching an interview with her, and she was saying how this story literally came to her one day at work when she was in the bathroom washing her hands, and something happened that sort of sparked this idea, and she like ran back to her desk and started writing. So in this book, it is about 26-year-old editorial assistant Nella Rogers, and it says she's tired of being the only Black employee at Wagner Books. She's fed up with isolation and microaggressions, and she's thrilled with when Harlem-born and bred Hazel starts working in the cubicle beside her. But then things start getting a little bit weird, and there's some uncomfortable events, and like some strange stuff starts happening, and Hazel sort of quickly becomes like the office darling, and Nella's kind of left in the dark here. And then notes start to appear on Nella's desk that say, "Leave Wagner now." Very reminiscent of Get Out. So she said it's hard to believe that Hazel is behind these hostile messages, but as Nella starts to spiral and obsess over the sinister forces at play, she soon realizes that there's a lot more at stake than just her career. So I understand this is in multiple points of view. It's got a lot of social commentary to it. There's some sort of mystery secret that's going on, and I'm super curious about it. So again, I've heard some good things. It's showing up on a lot of most anticipated lists. I love me anything that has to do with writing and publishing, and I loved Get Out. So yeah, I'm gonna read it. This next book has been on my radar for quite a long time, and it also comes out on June 1st. And this is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nai Vo. And this is kind of a Great Gatsby retelling. And it says immigrant, socialite, magician. So this is about a woman named Jordan Baker, and she's grown up in the most rarefied of circles in 1920s American society. She's got money, she's got education, she's got a killer golf handicap, and invitations to some of the most exclusive parties of the jazz age. She's also queer, Asian, adopted, and treated as an exotic attraction by her peers, while the most important doors remain closed to her. But the world is full of wonders, infernal pacts and dazzling illusions, lost ghosts and elemental mysteries. In all, paper is fire, and Jordan can burn and cut paper hearts out of a man. She just has to learn how. So this is a coming-of-age story full of magic, mystery, and glittering excess, and introduces a great new literary voice. So this is a debut novel. I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. It's getting some also really great reviews. I've wanted to reread The Great Gatsby for quite a long time, and I bought like a new, fresh, fabulous copy of it a couple years ago, and like everything, it just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And then my mom reread it this year, my sister reread it this year, and the FOMO was starting to kick in. So I've been doing, or trying to do, you know, read the classic and then read if there's a reinterpretation of it, or if there's a book that references it, or if there's a movie that I want to watch, read the classic book first. So my game plan is to reread Great Gatsby and then read The Chosen and the Beautiful, because I think that would be a fun way to do it. And I'm really excited for this book. So I don't remember Gatsby enough that I feel like I would get all the nuances if they're referenced in this, but I'm really excited for this book. Like I said, it's getting great reviews. It sounds really interesting. I love the magical kind of addition to it. Gatsby doesn't have magic in it, but it sounds really good. So I'm telling you guys, June 1st and June 15th is like all the things. The next book is called Beneath Devil's Bridge by Lorith Ann White. And I actually got this from Amazon First Reads. I just got it, so I haven't started to read it yet. But it had me at True Crime Podcast. I was basically like, click. Those are some of my favorite words in the entire world. So in this one, our True Crime podcaster, Trinity Scott, is chasing her breakout success, and her newest season on her podcast is about Clayton J. Pelly. So more than 2 decades ago, the respected family man and guidance counselor confessed to the brutal murder of teenage student Lena Ray. But why he killed her has always been a mystery. So here we are in present day, and Trinity is getting exclusive interviews with him, and he's disclosing the truth about what really happened that night beneath Devil's Bridge. And it's not what anyone in the Pacific Northwest town of Twin Falls expects, because Clayton says he didn't do it. So was he lying then, or is he lying now? So here we go. Who's playing the games? We've got the podcast. It just, I mean, we've got the retired detective who was part of the original case, and it just sounds really good. So it's like twisted, dark, secrets, who's protecting who, what happened then, mystery in the past, mystery in the present, bing, 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 all my buzzwords. And I'm really interested in it. So I've not read anything else by her. She wrote another book that I 100% have that I haven't read yet, In the Dark. So I'm curious. She's written a bunch of books, but I couldn't not snap this one up. So again, June 1st, it's getting some good reviews. I'm here for it. True Crime Podcast, guys. True Crime Podcast. Yes. And also on June 15th is Bathhouse by PJ Vernon. And this is another book that I have legit been seeing everywhere, and I'm hearing great things about it. And it's dark and it's messed up and it's twisted and turny and all sorts of things. And I was like, yes, 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 yes. I want to be a part of the story here and see what everybody's talking about and read it myself. So this is about a couple named Oliver and Nathan. And Oliver is a young recovering addict and Nathan is a prominent DC trauma surgeon. And they sort of have like this really good, perfect life together, despite the age difference and their differences in their background. And they've been together for like 5 years. And Oliver, I guess, is kind of feeling like a little bit, like he needs a little bit of excitement in his life. It's getting a little bit too routine maybe for him. And he shouldn't really be going to House, which is a gay bathhouse, looking for some excitement, but he also kind of can't resist going. So he goes and everything goes terribly, terribly wrong. So Oliver barely escapes with his life, and it says he races home in full-blown terror as the hand-shaped bruise grows dark on his neck. The truth will destroy Nathan and everything they have together, so Oliver does the thing he used to do so well: he lies. What follows is a classic runaway train narrative, full of exquisite escalations, edge-of-your-seat thrills, and oh my god, twists. Scintillating thriller with an emotional punch. So yeah, he goes to the bathhouse and meets a man who tries to kill him, and nothing good happens after that. So it sounds really fast-paced, really good, kind of like one of those books that you just want to like gobble right up and can't get enough of. And there's something about the summer. Not that I ever want to read a book that's like slow and that I am not inclined to pick back up again, but I kind of feel like summer heat and propulsive thrillers and like things I just want to like read and gobble up and like all the things. I always want something that I want to gobble up and have all the things. But again, there are so many good books coming out. The cork is out of the bottle, you guys. Here comes a slew of amazing books. So that's going to do it for just a snippet of all the books that are coming out. And rest assured, I have a much longer list than this, but trying to keep it short and most anticipated. These are kind of my top ones that I've got my eye on. But let me know what your most anticipated books are for June. Let me know what you have maybe already gobbled up or what you're looking forward to reading. And if you have thoughts or feels on these, let me know that down below also. And we will talk there. But I hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for watching and hanging out today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.